Okay, shalom, everybody. Welcome back. Hebrew chosen elect. Turn that down. Hebrew chosen elect. Wednesday night class. Uh, Here in Wilmington, Delaware. This week, this class we're going to be going into an in-depth breakdown of the return of the Jews from Babylon back to the Holy Land, and tearing down all doctrines, false doctrines that's been associated with the history of this return of the Jews from captivity in Babylon back to the land. Before we get started, quick announcements, and then we get straight into the class. So bear with me right quick while I share this screen. All right. So just real quick before we get started, contact information. If you got questions, concerns, um, would like to come out and fellowship or come to class, and you'd like to know, get information where we have class at, maybe you'd like to come to our Wednesday night class, or maybe you want to come to our Shabbat service, or maybe our little in the Wilmington, Delaware, Philadelphia, tri-state area, you want to be a part of the camp and come and help us do the work. You can reach out. You can reach out to me at 302-510-7147. It's on the screen. Or you can also get with me on Facebook if we are Israel Gemara Yashala. You can also contact Yakanan at 508-840-7710, or get with him on Facebook as well, Brandon Daniels, Yakanan McAfee Yashala. Also, like, share, subscribe to our YouTube channels, ACE Red Pill Reality and ACE Reloaded, for lives like class right now. We're live on YouTube, or old classes, old Shabbat lessons, camp speakings. You can catch that on our YouTube channel. So, that's it for announcements today, and we'll get straight into this class. So, like I said, we'll be going over the breakdown of going over the history. Of the return of the Jews from Babylon, and tearing down, like I said, false doctrines associated with the return from Babylon. To name a few, being an Israelite is determined by the mother's nationality. This is one of the places that people like to go to, especially small hats, like to reference this history to say that you being an Israelite is determined not by the father's seed, but the mother's seed. Also, having only one Israelite parent makes the child a mamzer and not an Israelite. The Negro onlys, or they like to try to keep anybody that's of quote unquote mixed nationality out of being an Israelite, even though the father is an Israelite. It's a doctrine going around that's not Israelite no more. That's a mamzer. And is subject to banishment because of that race mixture. So we'll be going. They go here as part of that doctrine and other places, but we'll be dealing with that, tearing that false doctrine down. Also, any false doctrines, Isaiah 14 being fulfilled when Jews return to Babylon. No, that's false. Israel as a whole nation returning back to the land and having dominion. That's false. Fulfillment of Obadiah, Ezekiel 35, chapter 35, chapter 36, or any other judgments on Esau being fulfilled, that's false as well. And it's not, this history doesn't provide proof to these false doctrines. So we'll be going in depth with this history by going through the books, uh, Ezra, Nehemiah, First Ezra, and we'll be touching into Josephus as well a little bit for that historical account. And also we'll be going through this history in chronological order. A lot of people, when they, get into Ezra, get into Nehemiah, it's like, we read it and we just read it like all this is happening within like the course of a 1 year or something like that. But this history is covers a span of over 100 years, which I think is something, to take note of. Starting with the reign of King Cyrus in 559. If you look on the screen, you see I drew a little timeline, and this history starting with King Cyrus, and then it goes all the way to King Artaxerxes from 559 BC to about 424 BC. That's like 100 and that's a good 130 years at least. Let's see. Let's say 560 to 430 is 130 years. 130 years there alone, and plus 6. So like about 136 years the history takes place, right? It's not just one thing that happened in the course of like a year to even 10 years. It's a long history. So that's what we'll be going into first, is the reign of King Cyrus. And we're going to start off by going into the book Ezra chapter 1, verse 5. And when we read verse 5, we're going to see in the first year of Cyrus, the king of Persia, which is about 538 BC, being the first year of his reign in Babylon, rose up to build the temple in Jerusalem, where the chief of the fathers of Judah and Benjamin and the priests and the Levites, with all those whose spirit God had raised up. So grab Ezra, regular Ezra. And this might end up being a 2-part class. We'll try to get through it in this class alone, I'm hoping. But could end up being a 2-parter. So Ezra chapter 1, verse 5. And if you're there, you go ahead and read that. Remember, this is about 538 BC. Go ahead.
Book of First Ezra.
No, regular Ezra. Book of Ezra.
Oh, Ezra.
Chapter 1, verse 5. And I'll go ahead and read it this time. Then rose up the chief of the fathers of Judah and Benjamin, and the priests and the Levites, with all them whose spirit God had raised to go up to build the house of the Lord, which is in Jerusalem. So see that this started out reign of King Cyrus, 538. Going down to the next point, next chapter over, chapter 2, verse 59 to 65, we're going to see that during this return, 652 men of the returning company out of Babylon could not show their family line or seed of Israel, and the congregation, numbering 42,360, returned also with 7,337 servants and handmaids. Read that.
You said Second Ezra 59.
No, regular.
First Ezra.
Ezra. Book of Ezra, chapter 2, verse 59
I'm there.
to 65. Go ahead.
And these were they which went up from Telaharsha, Sirab, Adon, and Immer, but they could not show their father's house and their seed whether they were of Israel. The children of Deliah, the children of Tobiah, the children of Nekoda, 652. And the children of the priests, the children of Habiah, the children of Cause, the children of Razaliah,
Uh-huh.
which took a wife, the daughter of Razaliah, the
Gileadite. Go ahead.
Gileadite, and was called after their name. These sought their register among those that were reckoned by genealogy, but they were not found. Therefore, they were as polluted, put, put from the priesthood.
Uh-huh.
And the Trisha said unto them that they should not eat of the most holy things. So there stood up a priest with Urim and Thummim.
Uh-huh.
The whole congregation together was 40,002,303 score. Besides the servants, their maids, of whom they were 7,337, and they were among 200 singing men and singing women.
Uh-huh. And stop right there. So what we're seeing here is one of the first things to take note of is upon this first return, like was already stated, 652 men came. They could not prove to be of Israel. Also, we can see that this return was only a small remnant of the nation, not the whole nation, not even the whole nation of the Jews, right? Meaning that multitudes of Israelites, both from both kingdoms, were still dwelling and mixing amongst the heathen. The reason we should take note of this is because of a couple doctrines that revolve around this history. Are one, that the Israelites who are not pure 100% Israel, born of an Israelite mother and father, are not counted as the seed, even if the father is Israel. Two, even though having an Israelite father, children born of heathen women must be put away with the mother and are considered mamzers. Actually, another thing is the whole New Testament, uh, you know, misunderstandings of who's the Gentiles, who ain't the Gentiles, if they're blood Gentiles, not blood Gentiles. For a long time, Israel, from the 700s BC, Israel was in captivity, scattered to other nations, living amongst other nations, uh, marrying other nations, having children with other nations. And even in this return, it's showing that only a small portion of the Jews returned. All the rest of Israel was still out in other nations, being like the other nations. Basically, now instead of being Israelites, being Gentiles, which this actually also strengthens the case, which has already been proven, of Cornelius being an Israelite, because Israel was scattered in other nations, Italy, Rome being one of those nations also, for hundreds of years before Christ came on the scene, mixing, mingling with other nations, right? So from there, we're going to read Ezra chapter 3, verse 1 to 3. And here we're going to see, before we read this, we're going to see as the people attempted to rebuild, they were together as one man in Jerusalem for fear of the people of the countries. And for reference of who was the people of the countries, we'll read 2 Kings 17, 23 to 33. But first, go ahead and read that. Ezra 3, 1 to 3.
Look at Ezra chapter 3, verse 1 to 3. And when the 7th month was come, and the children of Israel were in the cities, the people gathered themselves together as one man to Jerusalem. Then stood up Joshua the son of Zodiac, and his brethren the priest, and Zerubbabel the son of Shethel, and his brethren, and builded up the altar of Yahweh of Israel,
Mm-hmm.
to offer burnt offerings thereon, as it is written of the law of Moses, the man of Yahweh, man of God. And they set upon the altar its bases, for fear was upon them because the people of those countries, and they offered burnt offerings thereunto Yahweh, even burnt offerings morning, evening.
Mm-hmm. So now we're going to go to 2 Kings 17, 23 to 33. And why we're going here, it's a part of the whole story and breaking down of the happenings during this history. So, and it'll be explained more as we go on. But we see in Ezra 3 that they're in fear, they're starting to rebuild the temple, but they're in fear of the people of the countries. Um, which, like I said, we find that who's the people in the countries that they're in fear of, we find that in 2 Kings 17, verse 23 to 33. Okay, go ahead.
Look at 2 Kings chapter 17, verse 23. Until Yahweh removed Israel out of his sight, as he had said by all his servants the prophets. So was Israel carried out of their own land to Assyria unto
Mhm.
this day.
Uh-huh.
And the king of Assyria brought men from Babylon and Cutha and from Ava.
Real quick, already we're seeing all Israel didn't return to Babylon from Babylon because the northern kingdom Israel was sent to where? You just read it. Northern kingdom was sent to Assyria. They wasn't sent to Babylon. And when they were sent to Assyria, the king of Assyria sends other people groups into Israel. Keep reading.
And from Hamath and from Sephria, and placed them in the cities of Samaria instead of the children of Israel. And they possessed Samaria and dwelt in the cities thereof. And so it was the beginning of the dwelling there that had feared not Yahweh. Therefore, the Lord sent lions among them, which slew some of them. Wherefore they spake to the king of Assyria, saying, the nations which thou hast removed and placed in cities of Samaria, now know not the manner of Yahweh of the land. Therefore he hath sent lions among them, and behold, they slayed them, because they not know the manner of Yahweh of the land.
Mm-hmm.
Then the king of Assyria commanded, saying, carry thither one of the priests whom ye brought from thence, and let them go and dwell there,
Mm-hmm.
and let them teach them the manner of Yahweh of the land.
The God of the land, but it's only Yahweh if it's in all caps. Go ahead.
Then one of the priests whom had carried away from Samaria came and dwelt in Bethel, and they taught them they should fear Yahweh.
How they should fear the Lord. It's Yahweh if it's all caps, meaning capital L, capital O, capital R, capital D,
Yes,
or capital Z, capital O. Oh, then yeah, that's Yahweh. It's different here. But say Yahweh. Read it Yahweh if it's all caps. Go ahead.
How that every nation made gods of their own, and put them in the houses of the high places which the Samaritans had made, every nation in their cities wherein they dwelt. And the men of Babylon came to Succoth-Benoth,
Succoth-Benoth.
Succoth-Benoth,
Mhm.
and the men of Cuth made new ground,
Mhm.
and the men of Haman made Ashkelon, and the Aphthites made Lebaz and Tartak, and they and the
Sepharvites.
Sepharvites burnt their children in fire to Ad-
Adremelech.
Adremelech, the gods of Sepharvaim. So they not feared Yahweh, and made unto themselves of the lowest priest of the high places, which sacrificed them in the house of the high places. They feared Yahweh and served their own gods,
Mhm.
after the manner of nations whom they carried away from thence.
Okay. Yeah. Now, so that's who was in the land, bringing their idolatries and their false gods and living in the land for, you know, hundreds of years before the Jews returned back from Babylon, because that's who was in captivity to Babylon. Now, from there, go to Ezra 4:1-6, and we're going to read how the adversaries of Judah and Benjamin bid Zerubbabel to allow them to build with them, claiming to seek the God of Israel and sacrifice to him, since being brought there by King Esarhaddon, king of Assur, which we just read. Being rejected from this venture, they become active in hindering the rebuilding of the temple and Jerusalem, even hiring counselors against them to frustrate their purpose. Right? And we're going to also read the account of that in Josephus. But so these guys are trying to help rebuild the temple, claiming to serve the Most High God and sacrifice them. But we already read they wasn't sacrificing to the Most High. They feared him, but they brought in their own gods and their own customs. But why are they trying to do this? Because they know these are the rightful people of the land, and they're trying to hinder the rebuilding of the temple and Jerusalem. So let's read Ezra 4:1-6 to get
Ezra
that
chapter
account.
4, verse 1-6. Now when the adversaries of Judah and Benjamin heard that the children of the captivity bully builded the temple unto Yahweh, God of Israel, they came to they came to Zerubbabel and the chief of the fathers, and said unto them, Let us build with you, for we seek your God as ye do, and we do sacrifice unto him the days of Esarhaddon, king of Assur,
Yep.
which brought us up from hither.
Try to read a little bit louder.
Huh?
Read a little bit louder, but go ahead.
But Zerubbabel and Joshua, and the rest of the chief of the fathers of Israel said unto them, Ye have nothing to do with us to build an house unto our God, but we ourselves together will build unto Yahweh God of Israel, as King Cyrus the king of Persia hath commanded us.
Mm-hmm.
And then the people of the land weakened the hands of the people of Judah and troubled them in building.
Go ahead.
I think so.
To 6.
And hired counselors against them to frustrate their purpose.
See, that's they hired counselors to. They want to hinder the building. They want to hinder the rightful owners and occupants of the land coming back and being restored, because that means what? If that happens, that means eventually they out the door. So they trying to, from the beginning of coming back, they're already trying to stop this from happening. Go ahead.
In the reign of Ahasuerus, in the beginning of his reign, he wrote they unto him an accusation against the inhabitants of Judah and Jerusalem.
See, and this Ahasuerus is the king that reigned for a short time right after Cyrus. Okay. So we're gonna drop that one. And then we're going to go into the works of Josephus, and I'm going to read that. It's not in the Bible, y'all. It's not in the Bible. Works of Josephus.
It's not.
It's not in either of those. But when we read in here, we're going to read about how the Cuthians, which we read in 2 Kings, remember the Cuthians were part of the people that came into the land from Assyria, and were a part of that group who was against the Jews rebuilding. The Cuthians, in order to enter the building in Jerusalem, besought governors on how to do such. So they went to Israel, the governors of Israel, to try and find those that would be corrupted by money. And those corrupted by money, the governors sold the Cuthians information how to slow the rebuilding. You understand? Just like in the time of Maccabees, there was wicked Israelites that was taking the side of the heathens. And this is always, ever since Israel went off, been wicked. Quiet. Pay attention. Shouldn't even have your leg up there. It's always been wicked men of Israel that's willing to help out the heathen, right? So in the account in the Josephus, he gives a little bit more detail on these Cuthians and how they look to the wicked governors that would be corrupted by money. And that's Antiquities of the Jews, book 11, chapter 2, verse 19 to 20. So it reads, when the foundations of the temple were laying, and when the Jews were very zealous about the building it, the neighboring nations, and especially the Cuthians, so all those nations we read about, with the Cuthians at the head, they were the main leaders of all these nations to hinder the rebuilding and reestablishment of the Jews. So especially the Cuthians, whom Shalmaneser, king of Assyria, had brought out of Persia and Media. And had planted in Samaria when he carried the people of Israel captive, besought the governors and those that had the care of such affairs, that they would interrupt the Jews, both in rebuilding of their city and in the building of their temple. Now, as these men were corrupted by them with money, they sold the Cuthians their interest. Can y'all stop at the table? Stop. May I continue? So those that had the care of such affairs, that they would interrupt the Jews, both in rebuilding of their city and in the building of their temple. Now, as these men were corrupted by them with money, they sold the Cuthians their interest for rendering this building a slow and careless work. For Cyrus, who was busy about other wars, knew nothing of all of this. And it so happened that when he had led his army against the Mesagate, he ended his life. See that? This is when they wrote right to the next king, Cyrus. But when also known as Cambyses. So when Cambyses, the son of Cyrus, had taken the kingdom, the governors in Syria and Phoenicia, and in the countries of Ammon and Moab and Samaria, wrote an epistle to Cambyses. Where I want to stop at? How far I say we're going down? $20. Yeah. So we can pause right there. Okay. So as we see above from the time of the first return. Why do you have two chairs? Then switch. As we see above, from the time of the first return, the heathen are immediately seeking to put an end to the rebuilding. And to do so, they successfully seek such means by bribery of certain greedy dogs considered governors of Israel. This is important to note and will be touched on more later in the script. Remember, this all ties into the true reason for all the things that happened in this history, like the putting away of wives and children, things that such, right? So keep all this we've already went through in mind. So now let's go to Ezra 4, 7 to 24. And when we read this, we're going to read by writing letters to the king, how this to the king, the successor to Cyrus, how the enemies of the Jews convinced him to halt the rebuilding of Jerusalem, an injunction that would last until the second year of Darius. So these letters that get wrote to the king, Cambyses or Ahasuerus, as we already read, this stops the building from then until this second year of King Darius. So, which is 522 BC. So let's read Ezra 7, chapter 4, verse 7 to 24. Basically picking back up. Wait, chapter 7. I gotta switch my chapter. Ezra 7, 4 to what?
4 to 24.
4 to 24. Con. Can't find it?
I'm already there.
All right, let's go. Nice and loud.
The book of Ezra, chapter 7, verse 4. The son of
Zariah,
the son of Uzzi, the son of
Kai,
Bukai, the son of Abishua, the son of
Phineas,
the son of Eleazar, the son of Aaron, the chief priest. This Ezra went up from Babylon, and he was a ready scribe in the law of Moses, which the Lord Yahweh had, which Yahweh God of Israel had given.
Mm-hmm.
And the king granted him all his requests according to the hands of Yahweh, his God, upon him. And there went up some of the children of Israel, and the priests of the Levites, and the singers, and the porters, and the Nephilims, unto Jerusalem, in the 7th year of Artaxerxes king.
Ahasuerus. Artaxerxes.
King. And he came to Jerusalem in the 5th month, which was in the 7th year of the king. Upon the first day of the 1st month began he go up to Babylon. And the first day of the 5th month he came. 5th month.
Oh, my fault. Where are we at?
Where Ezra 7 and 9.
Nah, dang. Salakia. Ezra chapter 4, verse 7 to 24.
So Ezra 4?
Yeah. Sorry, y'all. We're Ezra 4. We was already at Ezra 4.
So Ezra 4, 7
to 24. I don't know what I was tripping. I changed the chapter. So go ahead. Chapter 7.
In the days of Artaxerxes, who wrote this song.
And this is Artaxerxes, Ahasuerus, they're just really titles when you look into it. This is still talking about who we read it, his son Cambyses, what we read in Josephus. So in these days, go ahead, wrote Bishlam, Mithridath, Sabil.
and the rest of their companions unto Artaxerxes the king of Persia. And the writing of the letter was written in the Syrian tongue and interpreted in the Syrian tongue. Rehum, the chancellor, and the Shimashai, the scribe, the Shem,
Wrote a letter
wrote a letter against Jerusalem to Artaxerxes, the king in this sort. Then wrote Rehum, the chancellor of Shema, and the scribe, and the rest of the companions, and the Danites, and the Apharsathites,
Uh-huh.
the Tar- the Tarpelites,
Yep.
the Apharsites,
Farsites,
and the
Archavites,
and the Babylonians, the
Susanchites,
the Dehav-
the Havites,
the Havites, and the
and
Elamites,
your modern day Indians. Go ahead.
and the rest of the nations whom the great and noble Snapar brought over and set the cities of Samaria and the rest that are on this side of the river at such a time.
Mhm.
This is the copy of the letter that they are sent unto him, even unto Artaxerxes the king. Thy servants, the men
On this side of the river.
the men on this side of the river, and at such a time, be it known unto the king that the Jews which came up from the tree,
Up from thee.
up from thee to us, are to come into Jerusalem, building rebellion,
Building the rebellious.
building the rebellious, in the bad city, and have set up the walls thereof, and joined the foundations. Be it known that the king that is, if the city be built and the walls set up again, then will they not pay toll, tribute, and custom, so thou shalt damage the revenue of the king.
Yeah, so they send these letters. They throwing out all these accusations. They're planting this picture of how terrible we are as a nation. That calling us rebellious, bad city, and that if we build the city back up, we won't pay toll no more, tribute, custom, and that's going to cost the king a lot of money. So they throwing all this out, putting all this in the letter to get the king to cancel this whole plan of coming back and rebuilding. Verse 14.
Now, because we have a maintenance from the king's palace, and it was not met for us
It was not meet for us
to see the king's
dishonor.
Therefore, we have sent and met and
Certified
the king, and the search
that
that search may be made in the book of the records of thy fathers. So shalt thou in the book of the records, and know that the city is a rebellious city, and hurtful unto the kings, and providence, and that they have moved sedition within the same of the time.
Same time. Go ahead.
Which
For which
cause
cause?
the city destroyed. We certify the king that if the city be built again and the walls thereof set up by this means, thou shalt have no proportion on the side of the river.
Mm-hmm.
Then the king
sent the king.
sent the king an answer unto Rehum, the chancellor, and Shimshai, the scribe, and to the rest of the companions.
Hey, get your book open, Hawk. Go ahead.
And the rest of the companions dwell in Samaria, And unto the rest, behold, the river of peace, and shout in at such a time.
CJ, help him out. What verse we at?
Right, right. Uh, Ezra 4, verse 18.
He's gonna help you out. Go ahead. Go ahead. Keep reading.
The letter which he sent unto
Us.
hath been plainly read before me, and I commanded and search hath been made, and it is found that the city of old time hath made insurrection against the kings,
Yep.
and in the rebellion and the sedition that have been made therein.
Uh-huh.
There have been mighty kings also over Jerusalem, which have ruled over the countries beyond the river, and the toll tribute and customs was paid unto them.
Go ahead.
Give ye commandment to cause these
Give ye
men.
now commandment.
Give ye now commandment to cause these men to cease, and that the city be not builded until another commandment shall be given from it. Take heed now that ye fail not to do this. Why should damage grow to the hurt of the kings? Now the copy of the king Artaxerxes' letter was read before Rehum and Shimshai, the scribe, and their companions there. They went up in haste to Jerusalem, and the Jews made them to cease by
Force
power,
and power.
Then ceased at the works of Yahweh which made it at Jerusalem. So ceased unto the second year of the reign of Darius king of Persia.
See that? So they sent the letters in to the king. He found that what they was writing was true. So he gave them exactly what they wanted. And he sent troops and shut down the rebuilding. This is the y'all good? Get them. We're going to a new page. So, like it said, so by the writings of the letter, they were able to stop the building. By writing these letters to King Cyrus's son, it took an over for him. And this building, it stopped. And it didn't pick back up until the reign of King Darius. The reign of King Darius didn't start until 522 BC. So if you see the gap, Cyrus died about 530 BC. King Darius came into play 522 BC. So that's about 8 years that the rebuilding has ceased, right? So they got what they wanted at first. So now we're going to read in First Ezra, not regular Ezra, First Ezra 4, verse 43 to 57. We're going to read in this account how Darius gives Zerubbabel and those that go with him leave to go up and build Jerusalem. So Darius is starting this thing back up by sending Zerubbabel back. Concerning the Jews' freedom, Darius wrote to the kingdom that no officer, lieutenant, nor treasurer should forcibly enter their doors, that the Jews should be free from tribute, and also the Edomites should give over the villages of the Jews that they had held. So all these things is going to do what? This is going to get the Edomites, the Cuthites, and all the nations that was successful in hindering this thing at the beginning. It's going to get them back angry and back on their mission to put a hold to this. Right? So go ahead. First Ezra chapter 4, verse 43 to 57.
Verse 36 to 40.
First Ezra 4.
That's what I went to.
Go to First Ezra 4. We're not there yet.
44 and what?
43 to 57.
All right, I'm there.
You can go ahead and start.
Then he said unto the king, Remember thy remember thy vow, which thou hast vowed to build Jerusalem in the day when thou camest to thy kingdom, and it sent away all the vessels that were taken away out of.
So this is Zerubbabel. Zerubbabel won a competition between him and three other servants who would write the wisest saying. And Zerubbabel won. And as a reward, he was asked what he wanted from the king. So he's breaking down what his request to the king that the king is going to grant him because he had won the contest. Understand? Go ahead.
I was at verse 44. Right?
Yeah, so he's reminding him about how Cyrus had said to let the Jews go back and build the temple. Go ahead.
And sent away all the vessels that were taken out of Jerusalem, which Cyrus set apart when he vowed to destroy Babylon, and sent them again to them.
Uh-huh.
Thou also hast vowed to build the temple which the Edomites burned when Judea was made desolate by the
Chaldees. Mm-hmm.
And now, O Lord the King, this is that which I require and which I desire of thee. And this is the princely liberality proceeding from thyself. I desire therefore that thou make a good the vow, the performance whereof with thine own mouth thou hast vowed the King of heaven. Then Darius the king stood up and kissed him, and wrote letters for him unto all the treasurers and lieutenants and the captains and the governors, that they should convey on their way both him and they all those that go up with him to build Jerusalem.
Mm-hmm. 48.
He wrote letters unto the lieutenants that they were in Syria,
Syria,
and
Finis,
and unto them in the
Libanus,
that they should bring cedar wood from Libanus unto Jerusalem, and that they should build the city with him. Moreover, he wrote for all the Jews that went out of his realm up in Jewry, concerning their freedom, that no officer, no ruler, no lieutenant, no treasurer should forcibly enter their doors, and that all the country which they hold should be free without tribute, and that the Edomites should give over the villages of the Jews, which then they held. Ye, that they should be yearly given 20 talents to build up the temple, until the time that it were built, and other 10 talents yearly to maintain the burnt offerings upon the altar every day, as they shall have commandments to offer 17. And that all they want from Babylon to build the city should have free liberty, as they as well they as their prosperity and the priests that went away. He wrote also concerning the charges and the priests' vestments wherein they minister, and likewise for the charges of the Levites to be given them unto the day of the house finished, and Jerusalem builded up, And he commanded to give to all that kept the city wages.
pensions and wages.
And
So
he
he's
sent
sending every. So at first they was able to get the building to stop. Now he's sending them back with money. He's sending them back with money for garments, for uh, the building of the temple, sacrifices, and wages. Right? Go ahead. Verse 57.
Yusuf. He sent away also the vestige from Babylon, as Cyrus had
Part.
set apart that all that Cyrus
And
had
all
carried, and all that Cyrus had carried,
Or
Cyrus
given.
had given in commandment, the same charge he also to be done and sent unto
to
Jerusalem.
Jerusalem. So now we're going to hop over to chapter 5, 36 to 40, and we're going to read how in the second year of Darius, with those that returned to Jerusalem, came 652 men again, who could not show their family nor stock of Israel, men who had usurped the office of the priesthood. Also, they were descendants of Ados, who married Argia, one of the daughters of Berzellus, who are named after his name. We're going to also see that in Nehemiah 6, chapter 6, and Nehemiah chapter 7. But these cats was marrying into the Israel, and they were usurping the office of the priesthood. So we're going to go into that, right? So first, let's read this first Ezra chapter 5, verse 36 down to 40. You there?
So 36.
Chapter 5, verse 36 to 40.
You up there?
Go ahead.
These came up from there, Helen,
Thermaleth,
Thermaleth, and Therlasis, Chart,
Karathalar,
leading them, and Alar,
and Alar.
Neither could they show their families, not their stock, how they were of Israel, the son of Ladan, the son of Bon, and the son of Nekodan, 652. And the priest that usurped the office of the priesthood, and they were not found. Obadiah, the sons of
Koz,
the sons of Adus, who married Agia, one of the daughters of Bezrel, and
Berzellus. This is an Israelite, by the way. So Berzellus is an Israelite. Agia is his daughter. The sons of the sons of Addis is a heathen. His sons are heathens who had married Agia, the Israelite, and were going by under Berzellus, her father's household name. You understand? Go ahead.
And he was the description of the kindred of these men, sought in the register, and was found not. They were removed from exalting the office of the priesthood. For unto them said Nehemiah and Arthurius that they should not be partakers of the holy things till they arose up a high priest clothed with
doctrine and truth. All right, so from there, Yeah, drink some water. From there, Nehemiah. So now we're also going to go to Nehemiah 6, verse 17 to 19. I believe on the point of these cats marrying into the family of Berzelis and using his name, right? That's Nehemiah 6. And what verse did I say, y'all? I'm old, so I need y'all to pay attention and let me know what I just said 5 seconds ago. I forget that quick. I need y'all to be on top of that.
It's verse. Wait, what?
Nehemiah
Nehemiah
6.
61.
No. 6, 17 to 19.
So 6:17. What?
To 19.
All right. Read.
Go ahead.
Moreover, in the days of the nobles of Judah, sent many letters unto Tobiah, and the letters of Tobiah came unto them, for they were many in Judah.
Tobiah is a heathen.
Okay.
All right. Tobiah is a heathen married into the Jews. Go ahead.
I'll
Go
say
ahead.
18, right?
18.
All right.
There were many in Judah.
For there were many in Judah sworn unto him, because he was the son-in-law of Sechaniah,
Son-in-law to Shechaniah. This is a Jew.
the son of Evra, and the son of Johan.
No, he's okay. He's the son of in-law to Shechaniah. Shechaniah is the Israelite, and Shechaniah is the son of Arah. Okay,
His son.
and his son. Now speaking of Tobias, Tobias's son Johanan had taken the daughter of Meshulam, the son of Berechiah. Berechiah is an Israelite. So Tobiah married into Israel. His son marrying into Israel. And the nobles of Judah, many in Judah, were sworn unto him. These was wicked niggas that oftentimes be in Israel. This is part of what's going on during this return before it got up to the point of Ezra taking notice and saying, y'all got to divorce these women and children. This is what's going on. Go ahead. Verse 19.
Also they reported his good deeds before me, and uttered my words to him, and Tobiah sent letters to put me in fear.
So these wicked ass Negroes was reporting Tobiah good deeds to Nehemiah, which Tobiah ain't have no good deeds. But they were sworn to Tobiah, a heathen. And Tobiah, and they would come and tell Nehemiah of this devil, this heathen's good deeds, and then turn around and tell. Then they would turn around and go tell Tobiah the words that Nehemiah would speak to them. They was playing both sides of the fence, right? Because they had sold themselves to the heathen. It's the same same spirits, these wicked niggas that you find in Maccabees, that you find today, all through history. They in Israel coming out of captivity, fresh out coming out of captivity. From there, we're still in Nehemiah. I think it was chapter 7, 61 to 65. This is more detail into the accounts we already read in Ezra. More detail going into these 652 men who can't show their seed of Israel and who was using they was using the family names of their wives that were Israelites to usurp these positions in the priesthood. So go ahead, start at verse 61, read to 65.
And these were they which went also from Telmah and Teleharsha, Sherub, Adon, and Immer, and but they could not show their father's house nor their seed, whether they were of Israel. The children of Deliah, the children of Tobiah, and the children of Nakoda.
See that?
642. Did we already read this?
See that? Yeah, we did, but that's what I'm saying. Like first Ezra, Nehemiah give the same accounts, broken up, you know, differently, and sometimes said differently to give this history. That's why it's important to go through all of them. So we read first Ezra. It didn't give these specific names of Deliah, Tobiah, and Nakoda. And Tobiah we just read about in the last chapter, how he was married into Israel, and how the wicked Israelites was sworn to him and was playing both sides of the fence between him and Nehemiah. So this is the same account, just a little bit of things added, a little bit of things maybe not said that was in the other account. So go ahead, verse 63. We see Tobiah is part of these 652. Go ahead.
And the priest of and
the priest
and of the priest, the children of Habiah, the
Mhm.
children of Koz.
Children of Koz. And Koz, we're not going to go there, but Koz is the name of the Edomites' god. They worship a god named Koz. So go ahead.
The children of Barzillai, which took one of the daughters of Barzillai, the Gileadites.
Barzillai.
Barzillai.
So the children of Barzillai, which took one of the daughters of
the
Barzillai, Gileadite,
to wife, and he was called after
their name. So these was Edomites, most likely, children of Koz, being called the children of Barzillai. They were calling themselves after Barzillai because of Barzillai's daughters being married to these cats. See that? Oh, because one of them it took one of the daughters of Barzillai, the Gileadite, to wife. So these children of Koz, children of Habiah, were being called after Barzillai. See that? So Habiah, though, is really a child of Koz, most likely an Edomite, because the Edomites' god was Koz. That was the Edomite false deity, right? Verse 64.
These sought their register among those that were reckoned by genealogy, but it was found
Not found.
It was not found thereof.
Therefore,
slightly, were they as polluted put from their priesthood. And the Trisha said,
Shafta, which means governor, speaking of Nehemiah, said unto them
that they should not eat the most holy things till there stood up a priest with Urim and Thummim.
Okay. So now, this is important. Seeing that the heathen nations didn't want the rebuilding to happen, seeing that they were marrying into Israel and trying to take the priesthood that way, right? So the story is now fast forwarded 21 years from the initial return out of Babylon, and 12 years from the time building had been halted. The Edomites who had possessed villages of the Jews have been evicted, certainly renewing enmity with them. Also, we're reading again of 652 men that cannot prove lineage to Israel. And some of these, like we just read, one of these men was of the children of Koz, which is an Edomite guy, like I already mentioned. So surely this is renewing enmity with the Edomites as well as all the other nations that came during the Assyrian captivity, headed up by the Kuthians, right? So also we're reading again of 652 men that cannot prove the lineage to Israel. Only this time we're seeing that they have managed to usurp authority of the priesthood, which position isn't open to other tribes in Israel other than Levi, right? And how are we seeing this? Through marriage. That's how we're seeing this. As we go on, we will see again with its effects on the nation in Nehemiah's time. Uh, as we go on, we're going to get back in Nehemiah. Also of note in the text of 1 Ezra 5:37, it was written the sons of Ban. That was actually in reference to the sons of Tobiah, which we read about in the other book. Same account it was talking about Tobiah. We read in First Ezra, they was calling it the sons of Ban, speaking of the same children. So, and these children will come into play more as this story reads on. So, remember all these things that we've already went through. I know it's kind of maybe might be kind of dragging along to some of you, but it all ties into the story as a whole. And these are important things to take note of. So now we're going back in First Ezra 6, chapter 6, verse 1 to 4. We're going to see there how in the second year of the reign of King Darius, Zerubbabel and company begin to build the temple. At the same time, Sisinnes, governor of Syria and Phoenice, with Sathrabuzanes and his companions, questioned them on attempting again to rebuild. So the same way the first time they came along was, trying to question us in the rebuilding. Now this second time they come to question Zerubbabel about his attempting to rebuild again. So that's First Ezra chapter 6, verse 1 to 4. Go ahead. And I hope you're at First Ezra, not regular Ezra.
Now in the second year of the region of
A
Darius,
little bit loud.
Agias and Zacharias, the son of Ado, the prophets.
So that's Agai. In the Apocrypha, remember things are written a little bit different sometimes. So that's Agai and the prophet Zechariah, the son of Adam. Go ahead.
The prophet prophesied unto the Jews in Jewry and Jerusalem in the name of the Lord God of Israel, which was upon them. They stood up Zerubbabel, the son of Salathiel.
Then stood up Zerubbabel, the son of Salathiel.
And Jesus,
which is Joshua. Go ahead.
The son of Josedek, they came to build the house of the Lord.
They began to build. Began to build. I forget, but sorry. So they began to build the house of the Lord.
The prophets of the Lord being
the Lord being with them. Losing your voice already?
I don't know what's wrong.
So let me pick it up for now. So then stood up Zerubbabel the son of Salathiel the son of and Joshua the son of Josedek, and began to build the house of the Lord at Jerusalem. The prophets of the Lord being with them and helping them. At the same time came unto them Sisinnes the governor of Syria, and Phoenix, and Sathrabuzanes and his companions, and said unto them, by whose appointment do ye build this house? So they came questioning again, just like the first time returning with King Cyrus, questioning again. So they said, by whose appointment do ye build this house and this roof, and perform all the other things? And who are the workmen that perform these things? Nevertheless, the elders of the Jews obtained favor, because Yahweh had visited the captivity, and they were not hindered from building until such time as signification was given unto Darius concerning them, and an answer received. So now from there, back in Josephus, back in the works of Josephus, we're going to read how the Cuthians again desired of the governors the same as they did when they trying to slow the rebuilding during Cyrus's reign. So we have read how they went to the governors to pay them to get information. Now that they're back the second time, they're going to go to the same wicked governors that were moved by money and greedy of gain. They're going to go to them same governors to try and stop this thing all over again. So back in the Antiquities of the Jews, book 11, this time chapter 4, verse 88, we're going to read about this. So it reads, when the Sethians heard this, for the Samaritans have that appellation, they had indignation at it, and persuaded the nations of Syria to desire of the governors, in the same manner as they had done formerly in the days of Cyrus, and again in the days of Cambyses afterwards, to put a stop to the building of the temple, and to endeavor to delay and protract the Jews in their zeal about it. So how'd they go to the governors the first time? With money. With money, trying to buy information on how they can cause this thing to stop. So then also in Josephus, we're going to read how the Samaritans are, who's being called the Samaritans, are really Cuthians during this time. And we're going to read how they, being evil and enviously disposed to the Jews, wrought many mischiefs, on which account King Darius writes to them not to obstruct the Jews in rebuilding. So this is Antiquities of the Jews, book 11 again, chapter 4, verse 114 to 118. And it reads, but the Samaritans, these Cuthians, being evil and enviously disposed to the Jews, wrought them many mischiefs by reliance on their riches and by their pretense that they were allied to the Persians, on account that thence they came. And whatsoever it was that they were enjoined to pay the Jews by the king's order out of their tributes for the sacrifices, they would not pay it. They had also the governors favorable to them, and assisting them for that purpose. Nor did they spare to hurt them, either by themselves or by others, as far as they were able. So the Jews determined to send an embassage to King Darius in favor of the people of Jerusalem, and in order to accuse the Samaritans. The ambassadors were Zerubbabel and 4 others of the rulers. And as soon as the king knew from the ambassadors the accusations and complaints they brought against the Samaritans, he gave them an epistle to be carried to the governors and council of Samaria, the contents of which epistle were these. Did I want to read that? Yeah, 118. So the contents of these epistles that King Darius wrote were these. King Darius to Tanganus and Sambabas, the governors of the Samaritans, to Sadraces and Babilo and the rest of their fellow servants that are in Samaria, Zerubbabel, Ananias, and Mordecai, the ambassadors of the Jews, complain of you, that you obstruct them in the building of the temple and do not supply them with the expenses which I commanded you to do for the offering of their sacrifices. See that? And from there, we're going to go back into Ezra and read how Darius sends letters that the Jews build and not be hindered, and death to any violators of that decree. So Ezra chapter 6, verse 6 to 12. So we read in the history of what they're trying to do in Josephus. Now we're back in the Bible, going to Ezra chapter 6. And we're going to read about this return letter that Darius sent back to the Cuthians in Judea. So, like I said, Ezra chapter 6. And I said verse 6 to 12. This is the letter that Darius wrote back. You good to read? I got it. So Ezra chapter 6, verse 6 to 12. Now therefore Tatnai, governor beyond the river, Shethar Boznai, and your companions, the Apharsachites, which are beyond the river, be ye far from thence. Let the work of this house of God alone. Let the governor of the Jews and the elders of the Jews build this house of God in his place. Moreover, I make a decree, what ye shall do to the elders of these Jews for the building of this house of God, that of the king's goods, even of the tribute beyond the river, forthwith expenses be given unto these men, that they be not hindered, and that which they have need of, both young bullocks and rams and lambs, for the burnt offerings of the God of heaven, wheat, salt, wine, and oil, according to the appointment of the priests which are at Jerusalem. Let it be given them day by day without fail, that they may offer sacrifice of sweet savors unto the God of heaven, and pray for the life of the king and of his sons. Also I have made a decree that whosoever shall alter this word, let timber be pulled down from his house, and being set up, let him be hanged thereon, and let his house be made a dunghill for this. And the God that hath caused his name to dwell there, destroy all kings and people that shall put their hand to the altar, and to destroy this house of God which is at Jerusalem. I, Darius, have made a decree. Let it be done with speed. So with Darius' affairs being in favor of the Jews, he makes a decree that any mischief done to halt the rebuilding would result in death. With this defense now in place, it would be reasonable to assess that this in turn put more focus on doing mischiefs by craft and infiltration. Infiltration by how? By marrying in, right? So let's go first Ezra 7 to 5 to see the rebuilding of the temple completed in the 6th year of the reign of King Darius. That's in the red book. First Ezra 7, verse 5. And it reads, and thus was the holy house finished in the 23rd day of the month Adar, in the 6th year of Darius, king of the Persians. So going back, so the temple was finished in the 6th year of the reign of King Darius. Now we're going to move down to the reign of King Artaxerxes. But the 6th year of the reign of King Darius would be 522 minus 6 would be 516. So 516 BC, they finished the building of the temple. Not the city, but the temple. So the temple was finally finished in 516 BC. All this, it got its start 559 BC. Okay? So now we're to the reign of King Artaxerxes, which was 465 to 424 BC. All right? So that's a lot of time in between. 516 to 465. That's like another 16 plus 35 years. That's about 60. Another 60 years. That's a lot of time. So that's the times that this is the time that we're going to deal with now. Picking back up. Still in Ezra. So Ezra 7:14. We're going to read how Ezra is given leave to return to Jerusalem, having the law of God in his hand. This is during Artaxerxes. 60 years later. 60 years later from the temple being built. So he's coming back with the law in his hand. In 2nd Ezra chapter 14, it is documented that Ezra was chosen to rewrite the scriptures and given the understanding similar to that of Moses. This would mean that those who had previously returned and rebuilt did not yet have the scriptures in totality, if at all, okay, to govern, even though they were assisted by the prophesying of Haggai and Zechariah. It's something to take note of. All right. So read that Ezra 7:14 real quick.
14.
Yes, sir.
Look at Ezra chapter 7, verse 14. And they kept the feast of unleavened bread 7 days.
You're in first Ezra.
Sorry, you said second Ezra.
No, regular Ezra.
So you still 7:14.
Yeah.
For so much as thou sent of the king of his 7 counselors to Enrique concerning Judah and Jerusalem according to the law of thy God, which is in thine hands. Is that right?
Actually, I probably want to start at. All right, I got it. So 7, I should put 7:12 to 14 because that I didn't like the way that went by itself. So I got it. So verse 12, chapter 7, book of Ezra. Artaxerxes, king of kings, unto Ezra the priest, a scribe of the law of the God of heaven, perfect peace, and at such a time. I make a decree that all they of the people of Israel and of his priests and Levites in my realm, which are minded of their own free will to go up to Jerusalem, go with thee. For as much as thou art sent of the king and of his 7 counselors to inquire concerning Judah and Jerusalem according to the law of thy God, which is in thine hand. So now we're up to King Artaxerxes' reign, 465 to 424, and Ezra is being sent back with the law of God in his hand. So, like I mentioned earlier, Second Ezra chapter 14th chapter, you read about how he was re-given the laws and all the writings to rewrite for Israel. See that? Uh, Meaning they didn't have the law at the onset of the first rebuilding and startup of all this. They didn't yet have the law because Ezra was the one that rewrote everything, right? First Ezra 8, 5 to 7, we're going to read how Ezra and his company, let's just read it first. First Ezra 8, 5 to 7. So first Ezra 8, 5 to 7. There went up I'll start verse 3. This Ezra went up from Babylon as a scribe, being very ready in the law of Moses, that was given by the God of Israel. And the king did him honor, for he found grace in his sight in all his requests. There went up with him also certain of the children of Israel, of the priests, and of the Levites, of the holy singers, porters, and ministers of the temple unto Jerusalem in the 7th year of the reign of King Artaxerxes, in the 5th month. This was the king's 7th year. For they went from Babylon in the first day of the month and came to Jerusalem according to the prosperous journey which the Lord had gave them. For Ezra had very great skill, so that he omitted nothing of the law and commandments of the Lord, but taught all Israel the ordinances and judgments. That's verse 7. So we just read there, Ezra and his company come to Jerusalem in the 7th year of the reign of King Artaxerxes. According to the New Oxford and to the Bible with Apocrypha, the rebuilding of the time during the time of Darius was from 522 to 515 BC. Ezra's return to Judah was most likely 458 BC, 57 years after the completion of the temple. Okay. Ezra, who was in Babylon till this time, was of great skill and omitted nothing of the law and commandments of the Lord, and was Israel's teacher of the ordinances and judgments. So, reading this history, I thought it to be of importance to highlight this event in the timeline. It is until 80 years after 80 years of the first return that Ezra makes his exodus from Babylon. We know by reading Second Ezra that the law was burned and Ezra had to rewrite everything. This would mean 80 years of wicked men taking bribes and counseling the enemy on how to infiltrate and no one there to stand against them. See that? It would also mean 80 years the heathen were able to repeat efforts made in Moses' time by the heathen by making marriages and thereby bringing Israel into the worship of their gods and keeping their abominable ways. Okay? So this is a lot of time. So it's no wonder these guys are able to bribe the governors, intermarry with the Levites, even to usurp positions in the priesthood. It's no wonder because Ezra still wasn't there with the laws of the Most High during this whole span of about 80 years. About 80 years. Um, uh, why? Oh yeah, that's a long while. Yeah, yeah. So now we're going to read First Ezra 8:68 to 7. 68 to 70. And it reads, Now when these things were done, the rulers came unto me and said, The nation of Israel. Oh, this is let me start 65. So moreover, they that were come out of the captivity offered sacrifice unto Yahweh, the God of Israel, even 12 bullocks for all Israel, 16 rams. That's 96 rams. So 12 bullocks, 96 rams. Yeah, rams. Yeah. Where we get our shofars from? It sits on a ram's head like that. Yes. So you can sacrifice a ram. Ram is a clean animal. Um, verse 67. No, verse 66. 12 lambs. That's 72 lambs. Goats for a peace offering, 12 all of them, a sacrifice to Yahweh. And they delivered the king's commandments unto the king's stewards and to the governors of Coelo Syria and finished, and they honored the people and the temple of God. Now when these things were done, the rulers came unto me and said, The nation of Israel, the princes, the priests, and Levites have not put away from them the strange people of the land, nor the pollutions of the Gentiles, to wit, of the Canaanites, Hittites, Perizzites, Jebusites, Moabites, Egyptians, and Edomites. For both they and their sons have married with their daughters, and the holy seed is mixed with the strange people of the land. And from the beginning of this matter, the rulers and the great men have been partakers of this iniquity. So remember the rulers and great men. Who were the Cuthians bribing with money? The governors, rulers, and great men, right? So what we just read, Ezra is made aware that from the beginning, Ezra 1 and 5, for example, of the matter, 80 years ago, right? The nation of Israel, the princes, the priests, and Levites have not put away the strange people of the land, nor pollutants of the Gentiles. What's the pollutants of the Gentiles? Their ways, their worshiping, their abominations. You understand? Marrying with their daughters and mixing holy seed with the strange people. Uh, now let's also go Ezra 9, 1 to 2. Nope. Regular. Should just put these scriptures on there like I usually do. It'll make things faster, but oh well. What did I say?
So verse, you said verse
Ez-
9, 1 to 2.
Ezra 9, 1 to
Ezra
2.
9. Yeah.
It reads, Now when these things were done, the princes came to me, saying, The people of Israel and the priests and the Levites have not separated themselves from the people of the lands, doing according to their abominations. See that? Even of the Canaanites, the Hittites, the Perizzites, the Jebusites, the Ammonites, the Moabites, the Egyptians, and the Amorites. They have taken of their daughters for themselves and for their sons, so that the holy seed have mingled themselves with the people of those lands. Yea, the hand of the princes and rulers have been chief in this trespass. Now back. So here Ezra is made aware that Israel and the priests and the Levites have not separated themselves from the people of the lands, doing according to their abominations. See that? That's the pollutants of the Gentiles. And taken for themselves and their sons of the daughters of the people of those lands. We can see this same transgression in Judges chapter 3, verse 5 to 8. Let's go there. Judges 3, verse 5 to 8. Judges 3, verse 5 to 8. And the children of Israel dwelt among the Canaanites, Hittites, Amorites, Perizzites, and Hivites, and Jebusites. And they took their daughters to be their wives, and gave their daughters to their sons, and served their gods. This is what happens. This is what we did in the past, and we're doing it all over again. Verse 7. And the children of Israel did evil in the sight of Yahweh, and forgot Yahweh their God, and served Baalim and the groves. So here we are back from Babylon doing the same things again. Right? Let's also go First Ezra 8:87. I hate the way that so far smells. It's weird. First Ezra 8:87. And it reads, start 86. And all that is befallen is done unto us for our wicked works and great sins. For thou, O Yahweh, didst make our sins light, and didst give unto us such as a root. But we have turned back again to transgress thy law, and to mingle ourselves with the uncleanness of the nations of the land. This is the problem. Y'all should be paying attention to what's being brought out. So during this time, Ezra is letting us know that we were turning back to transgress the law by mingling ourselves with the uncleanness of the nations of the land. That's what? Following their works, partaking in their abominations and their pollutions, their serving of idol gods, their abominable customs. Ezra 9:14. And the reason we're bouncing back and forth is because, and to be able to get a more complete understanding, of this story, you need to bounce back and forth from each of these books and follow it in the proper order of as it happened, which you can't do by just reading the books separate from each other. Okay, I'm gonna read the book of Ezra straight through, finish Ezra. Now I'm gonna go to Nehemiah straight through. What's so funny? Then I'm gonna go to First Ezra, read that straight through, and I'm gonna just read it like that's the whole history, and think that I'm gonna get a good understanding. No, you have to jump back and forth because this return happens in a certain timeline, and to read it in that timeline, you have to go back and forth with these books and link up these different accounts that are given differently in each book. Each book might give it more understanding or more detail to the same exact story, same exact part of time. Ezra 9:14. Pretty much the same thing being said all over again. So start at verse 13. It says, and after all that has come upon us for our evil deeds and for our great trespass, seeing that thou, our God, has punished us less than our iniquities deserve, and has given us such deliverance as this, being the return from Babylon. Should we again break thy commandments and join in offending with the people of these abominations? Wouldest thou not be angry with us till thou hast consumed us, so that there should be no remnant nor escaping? So Ezra, we see here in his prayer to God, questions, should we again break thy commandments and join affinity with the people of these abominations? And what's affinity? Who knows what's affinity? Nobody? Bueller, Bueller. Affinity. Uh, the relation contracted by marriage between a husband and his wife's kindred. Basically, what we've been reading. By marrying into a family, you join in the kindred of that family. So these other heathen nations, they want to marry into Israel so that they can be a part of Israel, so that they can get the blessings of Israel, so that they can usurp and become Israel. Because Israel's what? The Most High's favorite people, chosen above all nations. So if I can't be above all nations because I'm not a part of this nation, I might as well join this nation, pretend to be this nation, right? Uh, so more on that. Let's go Hosea 5:3-7 and Malachi 2:11. Going in on
Wait, what verse?
where Hosea 5:3-7. Just to touch on what Ezra is talking about of going and joining the Fendi and transgressing again. Hosea 5:3-7 reads, I know Ephraim, and Israel is not hid from me. For now, O Ephraim, thou committest whoredom, and Israel is defiled. They will not frame their doings to turn unto their God, for the spirit of whoredoms is in the midst of them, and they have not known the Lord. And the pride of Israel doth testify to his face. Therefore shall Israel and Ephraim fall in their iniquity. Judah also shall fall with them. This is what happened to us as a nation. He's saying, shall we go back and transgress the same way by joining affinity with these other nations? See that? Verse 6. They shall go with their flocks and with their herds to seek Yahweh, but they shall not find him. He hath withdrawn himself from them. And that's what Ezra is going through. Like, you've given us this grace to come back, even though we have went off doing this same thing before. And you said that we'd search for you but not find you, and you've given us this gift of bringing us back. How should we go and transgress the same laws by doing the same things again? Verse 7. They have dealt treacherously against Yahweh, for they have begotten strange children. Now shall a moth devour them with their portions. So he's letting us know back then when we did before, we had begotten strange children. Why were they strange? Because we have married into these nations, and instead of them following our ways, we followed them. We became these other nations, serving their gods, keeping their ways that aren't the ways of the Most High. And with the children we begot, we did what? We raised them up to follow the customs of these other nations. So they were now strange children. And this is what Ezra is talking about by when he's asking, should we go and commit these same iniquities and sins again? This is what he's talking about. Micah 2:11, I think I said. No, Malachi 2:11. So also Malachi 2:11. Malachi 2:11 reads, Judah hath dealt treacherously, and an abomination is committed in Israel and in Jerusalem. For Judah hath profaned the holiness of Yahweh, which he loved, and hath married the daughter of a strange God. Yahweh will cut off the man that doth this, the master and the scholar, out of the tabernacles of Jacob, and him that offereth an offering unto the Lord of hosts. So this is what Ezra is explaining when he says, should we again break thy commandments and join in affinity with the people of these abominations? He's not talking about, it doesn't have anything to do with these women not being Israelites. It has to do with we're joining affinity and we're taking on their customs. We're joining to their people. And we're having children and raising them up in their customs. And instead of being the children of Israel, the children of God, we are being the children of other nations and the children of false gods. So above Everything above we just went through, I've underlined a few points made by Ezra regarding things that have been taking place during the span of the last 80 years previous. One, the Levites not only not putting away the strange people, but not putting away the pollutants of the Gentiles. Number two, the priests and Levites he accuses of doing according to the abominations of the people. Number three, the nation as well was mingling with the uncleanness of the nations. Number four, Ezra asked, should we again join affinity with the people of these abominations? And I already did it, but when you look up the word affinity, one of the definitions given reads a similarity. Well, I've read a different definition, so this is good. One of the definitions given reads a similarity of characteristics, suggesting a relationship, especially a resemblance in structure between animals, plants, or languages. One of our own favorite scriptures we like to go to regarding Israel is Deuteronomy 7:6, which teaches us to be holy to our God and set apart from the rest of the world, not to be similar in characteristics to the dusty, dirty heathens that worship heathens, eat bats, and bathe in urine. Question:
Did we go there?
did we go where? No, we're not going there, but everybody knows it. He says, we are a special people to the Lord thy God, chosen above all people of the whole, putting above all people of the whole world. But we were supposed to be holy. That's completely opposite of affinity, being similar in characteristics. We wasn't supposed to be similar in characteristics to dusty, dirty heathens that worship women, eat bats, and bathe in ox urine, and worship other idol gods. But these are the things that these nations believe in and follow. And these are the things that we're reading we were doing because we were not putting ourselves apart from pollutants of the land. We were taking part in the abominations of these people. After being given this grace to return from captivity that we have went into for already doing these acts before. Right. So moving on. This was going on for 80 years when Ezra came having the understanding that what he was seeing was going to bring more wrath over all over again. Because the Most High he gave him the Torah again. Ezra was given to rewrite everything because the heathens had burned up our books. So he knew this would bring this wrath all over again. Using wisdom, it should be clear that Israelites putting away their children with the mothers wasn't in pretext to how they look, because different nations look different, or their genetic makeup. The decree was a remedy to the same sins and transgressions that were the cause of Israel and Judah being cast off and sent into captivity in the first place. And that was for becoming heathen by taking on their beliefs and abominable customs and ways. As we continue to read of Nehemiah, the story gets no better. So now we're going into Nehemiah, chapter 5, verse 14. So we've been reading First Ezra, we've been in Ezra. Now we're going into the other book that documents the history, book of Nehemiah. Now, where did I say we're going? 5 and what?
5:14.
5 and what?
14.
Okay. So Nehemiah 5:14. So this is Nehemiah speaking. Moreover, from the time that I was appointed to be their governor, in the land of Judah, from the 20th year even unto the 32nd year of Artaxerxes the king, that is, 12 years, I and my brethren have not eaten the bread of the governor. So, going back, what we see here is in the 20th year of King Artaxerxes, the first reign, which is 445 to 433, Nehemiah returned to Judah and governed for 12 years. Okay? 12 years. So now Nehemiah 4, 1 to 8. Now we're going to bounce back in chapter 4, verse 1 to 8.
So, 8.
1 to 8. Chapter 4, verse 1 to 8. And it reads, But it came to pass that when Sanballat heard that we builded the wall, he was wroth and took great indignation and mocked the Jews. And he spake before his brethren in the army of Samaria and said, What do these feeble Jews? Will they fortify themselves? Will they sacrifice? Will they make an end in a day? Will they revive the stones out of the heaps of the rubbish which are burnt? Now Tobiah, the Ammonite, so Tobiah we was reading about earlier, now it's giving us his exact nationality. Tobiah is an Ammonite. Are Ammonites supposed to be in the congregation? No, we read that in the law, in the Torah.
Yeah.
Tobiah is an Ammonite. So now Tobiah the Ammonite was by him, and he said, Even that which they build, if a fox go up, he shall even break down the stone wall. Hear, O our God, for we are despised, and turn their reproach upon their own head, and give them for a prey in the land of captivity. And cover not their iniquity, and let not their sin be blotted out from before thee, for they have provoked thee to anger before the builders. So built we the wall, and all the wall was joined together unto the half thereof, for the people had a mind to work. So now we're trying to build the wall to protect us from the outside enemies, right? Verse 7. But it came to pass that when Sanballat and Tobiah and the Arabians and the Ammonites and the Ashdodites heard that the walls of Jerusalem were made up and that the breaches began to be stopped, then they were very wroth. So this made the nations even more pissed off. Y'all built the temple, now you're building the walls too. Trying to establish you trying to establish your kingdom again, and what's going to happen to us? So he pissed off. Verse 8. And conspired all of them together to come and to fight against Jerusalem to hinder. So remember, we have read earlier about Tobiah. So we read here, Sanballat, Tobiah the Ammonite, and army of Samaria take great indignation at the Jews' attempt to rebuild again. Also upon the wall being built, the Arabians, Ammonites, and Ashdodites joined in indignation and sought to fight against Jerusalem to hinder it. Another very important account here, not to be missed, Tobiah the Ammonite, who we mentioned before going over First Ezra 5:36 to 40, is still around to cause mischief and hinder the rebuilding of Jerusalem. As we will see, Tobiah has infiltrated the nation and gained a position of authority by way of marriage, being of the seed of a nation that is never even to be allowed in the congregation. So now we'll go back into Nehemiah chapter 6, verse 1 to 13.
Chapter 6.
How's your voice?
I mean, it's a little better.
All right, let's try. Nehemiah 6, verse 1, down to 13.
Down at what?
To 13. 1 to 13.
The book of Nehemiah, chapter 6, verse 14, verse
One.
1. Now it came to pass when Sanballat, Tobiah, and Geshem, and Abarian,
The Arabian.
the Arabian, and the rest of our enemies heard that I built the wall, and that there was no breach left therein. Though at that time,
Though at that time,
I had not set the doors upon the gates. Then Sanballat,
that Sanballat.
that Sanballat and Geshem sent unto me, saying, Come, let us be together in some of the other villages to plant of Israel. But they thought to do mischief.
Yeah, they thought to do me
I
mischief.
sent messengers unto them, saying, I am doing great work, so that I cannot come down. But should the work
Why?
cease? Why should the work cease? Whilst I leave.
Why I leave it? Uh-huh.
And come down to you. Yet they said unto me for times after this sort. I answered them as the same man.
After the same manner. So he just told them the same thing again. I'm not coming down to y'all. I don't got to answer to y'all. Go ahead.
I was at verse 6.
Verse 5.
Then Sanballat, his servants unto me, and in like manner the fifth time, with an open letter in his hand, wherein was written, it reported among the heathen, Yeshua saith, thou and the Jews to rebel,
Think to rebel.
for which causeth thou buildest the wall, thou mayest be the king according to their words.
According to these words. Go ahead.
And thou hast appointed prophets to preach and be at Jerusalem, saying, There is a king in Judah, and now shall it be reported to the king, according to these words. Come now, therefore, and let us take counsel together. And I said unto him, saying, There are no such things done as thou sayest, but thou feignest them out of thine own heart. For thou madest afraid, saying, Their hands shall be weakened from the work, that it not be done. Now therefore, O God, strengthen my hands after I came unto the house of Shemaiah, and the son of Goliath, and the son of Metabeel, who was shut up, and he let us meet together in the house of God.
So real quick, Goliath, we read before with Tobiah, this was a heathen. So he's coming to try and convince Nehemiah. So go ahead, pick back up. Let us meet together in the house of God.
I was at 9.
Yeah, verse 10.
Afterward, I came unto the house of Shemaiah and Goliath,
The son of Goliath.
the son of Goliath, and the son of Metabeel, who was shut up, and he said, Let us together in the house of God within the temple, and let us shut the doors of the temple, for they will come to slay thee, ye in the night will come to slay thee. And I said, Should such a man as I
He's
flee?
trying to scare Nehemiah. He said, Should such a man as I flee? Go ahead.
And who is there that being as I am, which go into the temple to save his life? I will not do it. And lo, I perceive that God had not sent him, but that he pronounced his prophecy against me.
Uh-huh.
For Tobiah and Sanballat
Had hired him. Why are they trying to scare him? Y'all don't know? Because that's another tactic. Because the Most High said as a commandment not to fear, but to have faith in him. So if they can get him to fear them and not believe the Most High is protecting them, that would be a sin. That would be him losing faith, and they know that would put him in a bad position with regards to the Most High still protecting us. So I said, read the verse. No, 13. Read to verse 13. Go ahead.
Therefore he was hired that I should be afraid and do so a sin.
See, and sin by what? Losing faith. Because faith, off topic, faith has always been required. It's always been a law that you had to have faith in the Most High. And that not having faith is sin. You understand? Okay. Go ahead.
And that may have matter for an evil report that they might reproach me.
Right. So we read there, the heathen in more attempts to hinder the building of Jerusalem seek to discourage Nehemiah by lies and fear tactics, that he might lose faith in Yahweh. Same chapter, verse 17 to 19.
Moreover, in those days the nobles of Judah sent many letters unto Tobiah, and the letters of Tobiah came unto them. For there were many in Judah sworn unto him, because he was the son-in-law of Shechem.
Shechaniah.
Who said
His son-in-law is Shechaniah.
Shechaniah, the son of Arad, and the son of
And
Johanan,
his son Johanan.
had taken the daughter of Meshullam,
Mhm.
the son of Berechiah.
Right.
Also, they reported his good deeds before me and uttered my words to him. And Tobiah sent letters to me in fear.
Mhm. So also aiding in the heathen's efforts, nobles of Judah sent many letters to Tobiah, and Tobiah to them. Many in Judah were sworn unto him because he was son-in-law to Shechaniah, who's an Israelite, the son of Arah, who's an Israelite, and his son Johanan had taken to wife the daughter of Meshullam, an Israelite, who's the son of Berechiah, an Israelite. These nobles reported Tobiah's good deeds before Nehemiah and uttered Nehemiah's words to Tobiah. And Tobiah sent letters to put Nehemiah in fear. This is reminiscent of what we already read and seen when we read Ezra 4, verse 4 to 5, when we read Josephus' book 11, chapter 2, verse 19 to 20, and Josephus' book 11, 488. Nehemiah is going through it the same thing and showing the same thing, but showing the tactics they were using, trying to put him in fear this time. So, underlined above is a good example of what's unlawful about intermarriage with heathens and the snare that they became when doing so. We can also see that this is what David didn't allow and why he was counted a sinner based off of his heathen wives. Wasn't. Lucky. We can also see that this is what David didn't allow and why he wasn't counted a sinner based off of his heathen wives, but only sinned in the matter of Uriah the Hittite. In 1 Kings 15:5 tells you that. We can also read in the law on how to take on heathen wives from amongst our captives. Numbers 31:16 to 18, Deuteronomy 21:10 to 14. And we cannot find in the law is what we cannot find in the law is where a child is born of a Gentile mother with an Israelite father is not an Israelite, but a mamzer accounted of the stock of his mother's nation. We don't find that either. So this cuts a couple of doctrines that revolve around this history, and one of them being that, see, you can't marry heathen, you can't have heathen women, any heathen women. But like I just brought out, the law says that you can have heathen wives from among your captives. But they'll try to go here and say, because of this story, nah, see, you can't have heathen wives, period. That's people taking something, not for what it is, but for what they want it to be. That's what that is. Because the major issue here is taking on these women's customs and becoming part of their nation and joining in affinity with their people, right? Because when you read in the law where you can take heathen wives from amongst your captives, there was no affinity with the other family. It's just her. And she has to mourn because she'll never see her family again. She's totally separated from her family. But like I said, some of these doctrines, these lies that come from this, don't be people taking it for what it is. They take it for what they want it to be. Nehemiah 13, verse 1 to 8.
Chapter 13.
Yeah, verse 1 to 8. But
On that day they read in the book of Moses in the audience of the people, and therein was found written, the Ammonite and the Moabite should not come in the congregation of God, because they met the children of Israel with the bread and with the water, but hired Balaam against them that he should curse them, howbeit our God turned the curse into a blessing. Now it came to pass, we had heard that the law that they had separated from Israel, all the mixed multitude, and before it Elisha the priest, having oversight the chamber of the house of God, allied unto Tobiah, and he had prepared for him a great chamber where aforetime they had laid meat
so
offerings.
before this, Eliashib the priest, having the oversight of the chamber of the house of our God, was allied unto Tobiah, who's a what? Ammonite. Ammonite. Ain't he supposed to be in the congregation? Verse 5. Go ahead.
And he had prepared for him a great chamber where every time they had laid the meat offerings, that the frankincense and the vessels and the tiffle
Tithes.
of the corn, the wine, and the oil, which was commanded to be given to the Levites and the singers and the porters, and the offerings of the priests. But in all this time was not I at Jerusalem, for in the 2 of the 13th year of Artaxerxes,
30th, 2 and 30th. So the 32nd year. Go ahead. King of Babylon.
came unto the king after a certain days obtained I leave of the king. after I came to Jerusalem,
And I came.
to Jerusalem and understood all the evil that Elisha did for Tobiah, in preparing him a chamber in the courts of the house of God. And it grieved me sore. Therefore I cast forth all the household stuff of Tobiah out of the chamber.
That's
Said
verse
so-
8. Said the 8. So, yeah, reading in the book of the law of the congregation is brought to the understanding that the Ammonite and Moabites should not come into the congregation of God forever. And the reason being because they met not the children of Israel with bread and water, but hired Balaam against them to curse them. And Tobiah, he's an Ammonite. And he ain't supposed to be in the congregation forever, but the priest is cool with him and in affinity with him. So you can read the history of how they hired Balaam to curse them in Numbers 22:5-7, Numbers 25 1-3, 17 to 18, and what tactics they used to cause Israel to come under sin. And we're going to read it in the Josephus to get his historical account of it, but it was the same thing. It was using their women to get us to come into their nation and follow their ways. That was the same thing going on in the wilderness in the time of Moses. And now they're back at it again. And they're being successful all over again. So for the account of how they did it in the past, we're going to the Antiquities of the Jews, book 4, chapter 6, verse 126 to 149. And I'm going to read it. Verse 126. But Balak, being very angry that the Israelites were not cursed, sent away Balaam without thinking him worthy of any honor. Whereupon, when he was just upon his journey, in order to pass the Euphrates, he sent for Balak and for the princes of the Midianites, and spake thus to them: O Balak and you Midianites that are here present, for I am obliged, even without the will of God, to gratify you. It is true, no entire destruction can seize upon the nation of the Hebrews, neither by war, nor by plague, nor by scarcity of the fruits of the earth, nor can any other unexpected accident be their entire ruin. For the providence of God is concerned to preserve them from such a misfortune, nor will it permit any such calamity to come upon them whereby they may all perish, but some small misfortunes, and those for a short time, whereby they may appear to be brought low, may still befall them. But after that they will flourish again, to the terror of those that brought those mischiefs upon them. So that if you have a mind to gain a victory over them for a short space of time, you will obtain it by following my directions. Do you therefore set out the handsomest of such of your daughters as are most eminent for beauty, and proper to force and conquer the modesty of those that behold them. And these decked and trimmed to the highest degree you are able. Then do you send them to be near the Israelites' camp, and give them in charge. that when the young men of the Hebrews desire their company, they allow it them. And when they see that they are enamored of them, let them take their leaves. And if they entreat them to stay, let them not give their consent till they have persuaded them to leave off their obedience to their own laws and the worship of that God who established them, and to worship the gods of the Midianites and Moabites. For by this means God will be angry at them. Accordingly, when Balaam suggested this counsel to them, he went his way. So when the Midianites had sent their daughters as Balaam had exhorted them, the Hebrew young men were allured by their beauty and came to discourse with them, and besought them not to grudge them the enjoyment of their beauty, nor to deny them their conversation. These daughters of the Midianites received their words gladly and consented to it and stayed with them. But when they had brought them to be enamored of them, and their inclinations to them were grown to ripeness, they began to think of departing from them. Then it was that these men became great disconsolate at the women's departure, and they were urgent with them not to leave, but they would continue there and become their wives. And they promised them they should be owned as mistresses of all they had. This they said with an oath and called God arbitrator of what they promised, and this with tears in their eyes and all other such marks of concern as might show how miserable they thought themselves without them, and so might move their compassion for them. So the women, as soon as they perceived they had made them their slaves and had caught them with their conversation, began to speak thus to them. And this is how women still do it today, by getting themselves hair done up, their face done up, nails done up, throwing on the sexiest clothes they can. They learned this from the heathens because this was attack. This is attack to get you to be so in lust and in love at first sight that you're willing to leave off the worship of your God just to have this woman because she's so beautiful. I can't be without her. I'll serve her gods just as long as I can have her for myself. Now you at home singing R&B songs in the shower. Yeah, you clean up your house, throwing on the R&B playlist, trying to make sure it's ready for her to come over and she'll never want to leave. This is what the other nations knew about the Israelites, and they knew it not just from the information gathered from these wicked Israelites that they bribed. They knew it from time past. If we can get them to serve our gods, it means destruction for them. Best way to do it, use our women. They can't deny their own lust. So the same things was going on in the return from Babylon. There was the same things going on in this time. So verse 134. This is the women speaking to them. O you illustrious young men, we have houses of our own at home, and great plenty of good things there, together with the natural affection and love of our parents and friends. Nor is it out of our want of any such things that we came to discourse with you, nor did we admit of your invitation with design to prostitute the beauty of our bodies for gain. But taking you for brave and worthy men, we agreed to your request that we might treat you with such honors as hospitality required. And now seeing you say that you have a great affection for us and are troubled when you think we are departing, we are not averse to your entreaties. And if we may receive such assurance of your goodwill as we think can be alone sufficient, we will be glad to lead our lives with you as your wives. But we are afraid that you will in time be weary of our company and will then abuse us and send us back to our parents after an ignominious manner. And so they desired that they would excuse them in their guarding against that danger. But the young men professed they would give them any assurance they should desire, nor did they at all contradict. This is how you get brought into following your woman. Like I said, they use this tactic today, getting all sexy, and then it's all so that they can draw you in and have control of you. Now they telling you what to do in the house. Now they running the children, got the children disrespecting the dads, got the dads paying all the bills while they go and trick off with some other man, all because the same way, the same way in the wilderness, we didn't want these women to leave, was willing to do anything. That's how men are today. And that's how you're gonna be if you're following and looking for women for beauty, that's what you're gonna fall into. It's okay to have a woman that looks good, but don't get with her because she looks good. Because the best looking woman can be the biggest damn demon. And most of them use their beauty to deceive men and to draw you in and to get you hooked and so that they can run the show. Nah, that's what I'm saying. Nah, we ain't for that. But this is what was happening in Moses' time. This is what the heathen knew in the return from Babylon and happening then. So I'm gonna keep reading. So because of the so they would give them Israel would give them any assurance they should desire, nor did they at all contradict uh, it's cut off. But so nor did they at all contradict what they requested. So great was the passion they had for them. Verse 137. If then said they, this will be your resolution, since you make use of such customs and conduct of life as are entirely different from all other men, insomuch that your kinds of food are peculiar to yourselves, and your kinds of drink not common to others. It would be absolutely necessary if you would have us for your wives, that you do withal worship our gods. Nor can there be any other demonstration of the kindness which you say you already have, and promise to have hereafter to us, than this, that you worship the same gods that we do. For has anyone reason to complain that now you are come into this country, you should worship the proper gods of the same country, especially while our gods are common to all men, and yours such as belong to nobody else but yourselves? So they said they must either come into such methods of divine worship as all others came into, or else they must look out for another world wherein they may live by themselves according to their own laws. Now the young men were induced by the fondness they had for these women to think they spake very well. So they gave themselves up to what they persuaded them, and transgressed their own laws. And supposing there were many gods, and resolving that they would sacrifice to them according to the laws of that country which ordained them, they both were delighted with their strange food, and went on to do everything that the women would have them do, though in contradiction to their own laws. So far, indeed, that this transgression was already gone through the whole army of the young men. They fell into a sedition that was much worse than the former, and in the danger of the entire abolition of their own institutions. But when once the youth had tasted of these strange customs, they went with insatiable inclinations into them, and even were some of the principal men were illustrious on account of the virtues of their fathers. They also were corrupted together with the rest. Even Zimri, the head of the tribe of Simeon, accompanied with caused by a Midianitish woman who was the daughter of Sir, a man of authority in that country. So I'm gonna skip some of that. I'm gonna skip some of that. So after this, so we read Nehemiah 13, 17. Okay, so after this, they separated from Israel all the mixed multitude. Before this happened, one of the priests named Eliashab was allied unto Tobiah and had prepared for him a great chamber where aforetime was used for laying the meat offerings. No, we didn't read that part. The frankincense. This is what we read in 1 to 7. So Eliashab was allied to Tobiah and had prepared for him a great chamber where aforetime was used for laying the meat offerings, the frankincense, and the vessels and tithes of corn, the new wine, and the oil which was commanded to be given the Levites and the priests.
Yeah, we have read that.
We read up to 7. Now we read Nehemiah 13, 7 to 17.
17.
Yeah, we read 1 to 7. Now 7 to 17. Yeah, 7 to 17.
And I came to Jerusalem and understood of the evil that Elishab did for Tobiah on preparing him a chamber in the courts of the house of God.
Now this is a chamber in the house of God for an Ammonite. See that? They had gotten to this position by doing what? How did he get to the position of being able to be by marrying into Israel? Marrying into a Levitical family. Kind. So go ahead.
And it grieved me sore. Therefore I cast forth all the house stuff Tobiah out of the chamber, and I commanded all they cleansed the chambers, the 30, the fitter. It was what? The fish?
They're not commanding they cleanse the chambers.
Which I know after that,
And thither.
And tithers.
Well,
I against the vessels, the house of God, with the meat offering and the frankincense, and I perceived that the portions of the Levites had not been given them. The Levites and the singers that did not work,
that did the work,
were fled, every one to his field. Then contended I with the rulers and said, why is the house of God forsaken? And I gathered them together and set them in place. Then brought all Judah to the tithe of the court and the new wine and the oil and the treasures.
Then brought all Judah the tithe of corn and the new wine, the oil unto the treasuries. Go ahead.
And I made treasures under the treasuries. Shemaiah, the priest of Zadok, the scribe, and the Levites, Pedaiah, and the next to them was Hannah, the son of Sakor, the son of Mattaniah, for they were continued
faithful,
and their office was distributed unto the brethren. Remember me, O God, concerning this, and wipe out not out God good deeds
Not
I
wipe not
have
out my good deeds.
that I have for one of the house of God, and for the servant offices thereof. In those days I saw Judah some treading wine precious on the Sabbath, and bringing the sheaves and the lading asses, and also wine, grapes, and figs, and all manner of burdens, which they brought to Jerusalem on the Sabbath day. I testify against them in the day wherein they sold.
So also we're returned from Babylon, and on the Sabbath days we're allowing heathen to come in and sell victuals. Go ahead.
There dwelt men of Tyre also therein, which brought fish in all manner of ware, and sold the Sabbath unto the children of Judah in Jerusalem. And the contended with the nobles of
Then
Judah,
I contended
and said unto
with
them,
then I contended
yeah, I read that.
with the nobles of Judah.
Yeah, I read that.
Yeah, but when we go back, you got to pick back up where I leave off. Go ahead.
And said unto them, what evil thing is what ye do, and profane the Sabbath day.
What evil thing is this that you do and profane the Sabbath day? So after discovering what Eliashib did concerning Tobiah, Nehemiah found, uh, and that was what giving Tobiah a great chamber in the house of the Most High. And now he's in there, and the priest is out having to fend for themselves and not doing the service of the Most High, all from intermarrying with the heathen and giving our daughters to the heathen. So, discovering what he had did concerning Tobiah, Nehemiah found that the portions for the Levites were not given to them, and therefore they had fled everyone to his field. Also in those days in Judah, Nehemiah saw some treading wine presses on the Sabbath, and bringing in sheaves and laden asses, as also wine, grapes, and figs, and all manner of burdens, which they brought into Jerusalem on the Sabbath day. Where, whose custom was this they were following? The heathens. Sabbath day is what day? A holy day. You don't set up the market on the Sabbath. The market. The market. Uh, there also dwelt men of Tyre therein, which brought fish and all manner of ware, and sold on the Sabbath unto the children of Judah and in Jerusalem. After this, Nehemiah contended with the nobles. Um, which you read about the nobles. Right, we already read that. So you read about he contended with the nobles who we read about in Ezra 4, Josephus book 11, chapter 2, Nehemiah 6, 17, 19. Nehemiah 13, 23 to 30. And I got it. In those days also saw I Jews that had married wives of Ashdod, of Ammon, and of Moab. And their children spake half in the speech of Ashdod and could not speak in the Jews' language. They couldn't speak in whose language?
Jews language.
Who's returning from Babylon?
Jews.
The Jews. Yeah. Having kids that speak in the language of other gods, but not in our language. So spake not could not speak in the Jews' language, but according to the language of each people. And I contended with them and cursed them, and smote certain of them, and plucked off their hair, and made them swear by God, saying, Ye shall not give your daughters unto their sons, nor take their daughters unto your sons, or for yourselves. Did not Solomon, king of Israel, sin by these things? What did Solomon do that was sin? Yeah, do that was sin. Similar to this. Same way we read in the wilderness, following the gods of the other nations he was marrying to. That's what Solomon did. So he said, Did not Solomon, king of Israel, sin by these things? Up here. Yet among many nations was there no king like him, who was beloved of his God. And God made him king over all Israel. Nevertheless, even him did outlandish women cause to sin. And this is the problem. Allowing women to cause you to sin. So, like I was talking about today, women do it. Even today, outlandish women cause Israelites to sin. But guess what? It's so bad now, you don't need the heathen women. It's Israelite women causing Israelite men to sin. Verse 27. Shall we then hearken unto you to do all this great evil, to transgress against our God? When I say Israelite women, I'm talking about Black, Hispanic, Native American, Indian women who are not following this, have not came and repented and changed themselves to follow the Most High. So verse 27, shall we then hearken unto you to do all this great evil, to transgress against our God and marrying strange wives? And one of the sons, how far does it go? To 30. And one of the sons of Joiada, the son of Eliashib, the high priest, was son-in-law to Sanballat the Horite. So we were marrying our daughters to their sons, and also we were marrying their daughters. So Eliashib's son was son-in-law to Sanballat a Horonite, another heathen. Therefore I chased him from me. Remember them, O my God, because they have defiled the priesthood and the covenant of the priesthood and of the Levites. Thus cleansed I them from all strangers and appointed the wards of the priests and the Levites, every one in his business. So see here in Nehemiah's time after returning to Judah again in the 32nd year of King Artaxerxes, he saw Jews that had married wives of Ashdod, of Ammon, and of Moab. And their children spake half in the speech of Ashdod, could not speak in the Jews' language, but according to the language of each people. Also one of the sons of Joiada, the son of Eliashib, the high priest, was son-in-law to Sanballat the Horonite, who was an enemy and who was the one who, when we read in Nehemiah, was trying to get Nehemiah to fear and not have faith in the Most High. Y'all remember that? We read that early. So these are all the things that's happening due to marrying these wives. And Yahweh warned us against this in Joshua 23, verse 11 to 13. So he warned against this in Joshua 23, 11, 13 says, "Take good heed, therefore, unto yourselves, that ye love Yahweh your God. Else, if ye do in any wise go back and cleave unto the remnant of these nations, even these that remain among you, and shall make marriages with them, and go in unto them, and they to you, know for a certainty that Yahweh your God will no more drive out any of these nations from before you, but they shall be snares and traps unto you, and scourges in your sides, and thorns in your eyes, until ye perish from off this good land which Yahweh your God hath given." So Yahweh warned us of these things, but here we are returned from Babylon, and we're going in and making marriages with all these heathens. And this is why when Ezra found out, and they determined to fix the problem, he had the men put away the wives and their children. It wasn't because the children wasn't Israelites no more. It was because they was basically Israelites, but they was really the heathens. And through these marriages and taking on the customs of the heathens, we're joining affinity, and we're letting the heathen come in and take part of the priesthood, and we're just becoming one nation and going against the commandments of the Most High all over again. But these children, they still Israelites. And they're even Israelites that in the New Testament, Yahweh came back and died for. They're also part of the Gentiles that Paul is going out to fish, that James is writing his letter to, that Peter's writing his letter to. You have these Israelite kids that was put away with the moms. They're still Israelites, and the seed after them, the seed after them, seed after them, Israelites, but they was put away, and now come up to Christ's time, they're associating themselves with being who? Who are they associating themselves with hundreds of years later? No, they were put away back in this time because they were keeping the customs of their mothers and couldn't even speak our language. So Ezra had the men put them away. Years down the line, they're associating themselves with whatever nation their mother was. They're Gentiles. They're Gentiles. So it's 10:30. It's been a long class. And through this in-depth breakdown of this return, it's proven to be that an Israelite is not determined by the mother's nationality. Having one Israelite parent is this history doesn't show that having one Israelite parent makes you a child of Mamzer, not an Israelite, subject to banishment because of race mixture. Had nothing to do with the color of their skin or their phenotype from mixing with the other heathens. None of the prophecies of Israel being returned in dominion are fulfilled. Isaiah 14 wasn't fulfilled here. Israel's old nation returned back wasn't fulfilled here. Israel's old nation isn't in Israel when Christ comes. Judgments on Edom were not fulfilled because they were put out of the lands they had. What was missing from that is they wasn't destroyed. Obadiah wasn't filled. None of those judgments on Edom was fulfilled. And I think we've shown this through this breakdown that we did tonight, right? So with that, that will close out class. On the bottom of the screen is our cash app. If you'd like to send alms donations, please do so. We give thanks in advance, and you can do so at hashtag Hebrew Chosen Elect. Look forward to seeing you at Shabbat service or Shabbat reading. Till then, Shalom and Kwam Yashala.
Kwam Yashala.